A data fusion method of information teaching feedback based on heuristic Firefly algorithm. Abstracts. In order to obtain more accurate teaching feedback information, an information-based teaching feedback data fusion method is designed based on the heuristic Firefly algorithm. Establish the entity networks of the data to be fused. Feedbacks the characteristic metric of the data and obtain the correlations degree of parameters such as grade, individual grade, class grade, and score rate of each question. The cosine similarities and base similarities of different feedback data are obtained, and the data fusion entity framework is constructed on this basis. The data fusion method is designed based on the heuristic Firefly algorithm, and the parameters dynamic control for the Firefly algorithm is implemented to relate the information teaching feedback data fusion. The experimental results show that the number of data fusion categories is proportional to the fusion times. The more data categories to be fused, the longer the fusion time. The keyword is heuristic Firefly algorithm, teaching feedback, information-based teaching, data fusion. I have 4 contents. One is introduction. The second is establish data entity network to be integrated. The third one is data fusion method design. And the last one is experimental research. Part 1, Introduction. Teaching evaluation is based on teaching objectives according to scientific standards, using all effective technology means to measure the teaching process and results, and give value judgment. It includes the evaluation of students' academic achievements, the evaluation of teaching quality, the curriculum evaluation, and the information obtained from the evaluation can enable teachers and students to understand their own teaching and learning situation. Teachers can revise teaching plans and adjust teaching methods according to the feedback information. Students can improve learning methods according to the feedback information, improve the weak links in learning so as to achieve learning goals. Teaching feedback, namely teaching information feedback, refers to the process in which both sides of education evaluate each other and transmit the evaluation information to each other in the process of teaching implementation. It is an important means to promote students' growth, teachers' professional development, and improve teaching quality. In teaching activities, such as students' homework, test paper, behavior, expression, language, and even class atmospheres are all teaching feedback and serve as the basis for monitoring and regulating the teaching process. Similarly, teachers' requirements and evaluation of learning activities are also feedback to students as the basis for testing and regulating their own learning behavior. How to carry out teaching feedback scientifically and effectively, it is a basic base both sides of the education. The information-based teaching data mainly includes the overall object data and individual object data. The overall object data includes grade score, average scores, class score, and average scores, individual scores, grade experience rate, pass rate, raw score rate, source rate of each question. The individual's object data includes individual score of each section, individual score chance, individual knowledge, point mastery, awarenesses, in order to judge whether the teaching process is. And part 2 is to establish data entity networks to be integrated. First one is calculation of future data correlation. In recent years, the number of information teaching feedback data has been rising rapidly, and most of the data has been digitally saved. In the face of massive digital resources, how to quickly and accurately mine the connotation of this data so as to maximize its fundamental content has become a huge challenge in the field of information teaching research. When studying a feedback data of information teaching, we will make some inference about the data to understand the world. People need to distinguish different things and understand the similarities between things, while computers need to use unsupervised learning method to distinguish things. The distortion of information teaching feedback data has brought a huge challenge to data analysis. Here, we describe a characteristic of the information teaching feedback data from the 4 most representative characteristics of the information teaching feedback data: grade score, individual score, class score, and the score of the each question, and obtain the corresponding information of the information teaching. Number 2 is building an entity framework for data fusion. This paper proposed an entity matching framework that integrates structured information from multi-score. And this framework combines structural similarity with text similarity to more comprehensively measures the similarity and the multi-source heuristic entity, and can quickly interpret entity matching. The whole method is mainly divided into 3 models, and the specialty function of each models are as follows. The first is the data set processing model, which is mainly used to clean, sort, and format convert of the original data and generate the standard format data required by the subsequent process. In phase of multi-source, and a good data processing mode is the best start. In knowledge fusion, entity matching and data quality assurance are crucial. The qualities of the original data will affect the final entity matching results. The final purpose of the data processing is to ensure the data qualities of the input data of the subsequent process. Data quality can be measured from multiple dimensions, including whether the data format is standardized, whether the data is complete, and whether the data is accurate and timely. The processing in this task guarantees the data quality mainly by ensuring the uniformity and regularity of the data format and minimize the missing value in the data, which is the basic guarantee for the successful completion of the subsequent tasks. The third model is the evaluation of entity matching, which determines which entity records are matched based on the text similarity, and the attribute similarity is reflected by the tag map. The data is taken from the construct label map. When entity matching is required, entity matching needs to be evaluated by combining and graph structure information and simulate abstract. If it meets the standard, and matching will be performed. In this step, the similarity evaluation of intermatching is set, and the knowledge fusion is complete after evaluation. Finally, the view's knowledge is pretend on the database, scored in the database, and stored in the form of graph structure. Use match syntax to read data from the database and store all data in the temporary list. This step is to turn the problems into a cipher cross-statement. You need to return different results according to your intentions. This method has a lot of scalabilities to this step because Node has attributes and relationships which can be used for the integration. And the third part is the data fusion method design. Although the existing controller placement algorithm can be attempted by the approximate optional controller placement scheme in a limited time, its shortcomings of poor research, but in the early stage and low convinced accuracy in the late stage make the dynamic scheme obtained by throwing it is not ideal in terms of integrate transmission, delayed, and controller lag index. In this chapter, the algorithm based on Firefly is improved by two aspects: state parameters and the initial parameters. And this is the parameters dynamic controls of Firefly algorithm. And the design's data fusion algorithm. In order to verify the effectiveness of the controller placement algorithms based on the improved Firefly algorithm, after initializing the control scheme, read and control coordinates can be generated according to the specific topologies information, the mapping relationship, and the comprehensive transmissions delays on the initial control scheme can be calculated at the same time. The control algorithms is determined according to input and the approximate options controlled placement schemes in the entire solution space for the iterations can be obtained. Design the data fusion algorithm showed in Fig. And the design's data fusion algorithms. The first is to calculate the options and words control placement schemes under the current iteration and use the leadership strategy to update the coordinate vector of the control placement schemes in the leadership. The secondary, for the control placement scheme that is not in the leadership in class, reasonably select a control placement scheme as the one and find out the strategies of individuals' positions according to the current scheme. In this process, the loss function is shown in formula. And the part 4 is the experimental research. Experimental environment and the experimental data set. The purpose of this experiment is to test the effectiveness of the information teaching feedback data and method designs about based on the heuristic Firefly algorithm. In terms of hardware, the experimental environment of this paper is a single PC. Its CPU configurations is Intel-Core i7, 8 and 8006 700 3.20 to 20 GHz, 32 GB memory, and operating system Windows 10 Professional Edition. In terms of the software, the experimental program is closed using the language based on this platform, and the subsequent experimental results are numerically analysis by using this platform. And before this experiment, in order to qualify analysis, it is necessary to experience with the real information teaching feedback data set, including to create the changing data set required for changing and testing data set required for the verification. In this paper, we collect data from the mainly internet information teaching website and build information experimental data sets. When establishing the above-two data sets, a large number of representative teaching feedback was collected, and each group of the data includes two different types of teaching feedback data, and they corresponding the characteristic information metric. And 10,000 groups of data are divided in two parts. 500 groups are using as a training data set on the heuristic Firefly algorithm, and 500 are used as the test data set of the algorithm. And first of all, we need to process the data and divide the information teaching feedback into two types: overall object data and individual object data. The overall object data includes 10 types of the data. It includes this one. And the object data includes the individual score of each question. Individual score chains, there are 4 types of the data. And in the second step, it is necessary to establish data sets to be fused for different samples. It involves hundreds of groups of the data. And the third step is to conduct classify training on the overall object data and individual object data based on the training sample, and express the relationship between the object data information teaching feedback and related treatment, knowledge point mastery, error analysis, and other data types, so as to build a heuristic Firefly algorithms. And in the table 2, models are both overall object data and individuals object data can meet in the fusion requirement with a correlation greater than 0.9. And the fourth step is to conduct the final processing of the data, convert the output predicted value from the sample dimensions to the space-time dimensions corresponding to the information teaching feedback data. And this is the selections of the environmental parameters. Time efficiencies of data fusion. The last one is the conclusion. From the perspectives of the correlations information teaching feedback information, it can be seen from the experimental results that the amounts of the data and the number of the data types are in direct proportions to the fusion efficiency. And this is the reference. That's all. Thanks.